There's something that inevitably happens when a company hits a growth stage, and it is something that most CEOs do not see coming and that they're certainly not prepared to handle. And it is this. It is how fast competitors notice, copy your strategy, and start to eat into your market share. And so one day your company is growing, you have a healthy pipeline, you're closing big deals, and everything is going fantastic. And then the next day, someone appears out of nowhere, claiming to offer the same product, to produce the same results, and they are bigger, they're louder, their ads are everywhere, and your best customers are certainly noticing them and talking about them. And then before you know it, it starts to show up in your bottom line. You start to realize that you are losing ground to this new company, this new business that seemingly came out of nowhere. And this is not just a business pain. It is not just an annoyance. It is personal for most people because you built your business and your product from the ground up. You poured everything into creating and pioneering something unique, and now it feels like the rug has been pulled from under you. And then the worst feeling is having to fight for relevance in the category that you owned, the category that you created, that you pioneered. So what do you do when you're in this situation? When having a good product is no longer enough, when being the first to market is no longer an identifier, is no longer a differentiator. How do you reclaim your position when the market has been flooded with copycats, and especially when they're producing a cheaper or lesser version of the product that you created? So in this video, let's talk about it. How do you come out of where you are and reclaim your number one position without fighting, without trying to be louder or trying to be gimmicky, and how to actually create a new uncopyable, unshakable ground underneath you that is going to sustain your business and sustain that growth that you have earned. So first, let's address what happened here. When you entered this market or this region or this category, you were a pioneer. At the time, it was enough to just solve the problem. You came up with an engineered solution that fit perfectly into the problem that the market was experiencing. And so at the time, it was enough to just demonstrate your product and how it solves the problem. And people were eager and they were ready to buy it. The technical performance and the functional benefits of this product were enough to sell it. And they were enough to actually spread the word, because the more people solved the problem, the more they told other people who were struggling with that problem, either an engineering problem or a process problem. The word just spread based on how the product works and the problem that it solves. But then as time goes by, it is not just the customers and the buyers and the builders and the contractors that were seeing the benefits of solving this problem. Competitors also notice it. Other entrepreneurs and other business owners also notice that the market is shifting. Something is changing. A solution has been found for X problem, and now they're paying attention. Now, there are some entrepreneurs and some businesses that will go and create a different version of the solution or will improve upon the thing that you introduced into the market. But unfortunately, there are some entrepreneurs and some competitors who will approach it with a copy and paste strategy. They will take everything that you have built, they will duplicate it, and then the problem comes in when they manage to have a better narrative, a better story, a catchier tagline, because then they will flood the market with all of this marketing, and before you know it, you're the one that is struggling to find relevance. You're the one that is lost in all of the noise. And it is extremely frustrating to see this happen. I have worked with a client that this happened to. It is unfair. It is unethical that people do this. However, it is fixable. With the right strategy and taking a more proactive approach, it is something that can definitely be turned around. So let's talk about how to reposition, because the good news is you can still rise to the top spot, but it requires a different playbook. Let's first of all understand what's going on in the market. The market does not know what you know. They don't understand what's going on in the background. They are evaluating companies based on surface level information that to them looks identical. If they're looking at the marketing and it all says the same thing, it all says great quality, it all gives the same dimensions and specifications of the product. The images look the same. Even the process, the delivery guidelines, when things look the same, the customers can only evaluate it based on the information that is in front of them. They don't know who came first. They don't know who produces the better quality product. They're just looking at whatever has been presented to them. And so when this happens, a lot of companies will reposition. Repositioning is a common strategy that companies use all the time to respond to shifts in the market for any reason. It allows them to respond to new or changing customer behavior by offering them a different frame within which to evaluate their product without necessarily changing anything about the product itself. And so with that in mind, here are some of the repositioning strategies that I want you to start focusing on right now. Before we proceed, let me ask you something. Is your company in this growth stage right now where you have built up manufacturing capacity and now you need steady and sustainable demand to match it? Because here's the thing. As CEO, you're probably juggling 12, 13, maybe 14 roles at the same time. But ensuring revenue growth is arguably the most critical of those. You need someone that is laser focused on this. Someone whose only job is to watch for blind spots, like competitors eating up your market share, and spotting new opportunities before they become mainstream, or making sure that you maximize every dollar of your marketing budget. And I get it. You probably know that this needs attention, but you just haven't had a moment to actually think through it. And I'd like to help you with that. If you've been thinking about bringing in trusted leadership to take over growth strategy and implementation out of your plate for you, someone who can make it their full-time focus to explore every available opportunity for growth, let's have a conversation about it. I'll answer any questions that you have about marketing strategy, demand generation, anything in between. No pitch, I promise. Just you and I talking through your questions and seeing if it makes sense for us to work together. Just hit the link in the description and let's chat. So here's how we're going to reposition ourselves. Number one, I want you to focus less on the technical or the functional benefits of your product and focus more on the outcomes that your customers care about. It's very important that you understand what your customers care about. A lot of times, especially in the building materials industry, the customers do not understand what goes into these building materials. They do not understand the manufacturing process. They do not understand the engineering behind it. But there are some things that they certainly care about. They care about if it's a general contractor. They care about controlling the schedule. They care about costs. They care about weather delays. Focus heavily on the things that your customers care about and less about what your product is. You want to give them the impression that you have thought about their problems more than you have actually thought about your product. You want to give them the impression that you know every step of what it takes to achieve what they want to achieve, not what the product is going to achieve, what they want to achieve, the vision that they have for themselves, the vision that they have for their own businesses, and the vision that they have for the outcome that they are seeking by using your product. You want to zoom out and identify the bigger problem that you're solving. If your product is faster to install, yes, it is solving a time problem, but what does that mean for the contractor? Does that mean it does something to boost his reputation? Does that mean that he gets to add that to one of his accomplishments and that will get him more business? What is it that your product facilitates? Not just what it does. What does it do to advance the agenda and the dreams and the transformation that your customer is seeking? Those are the things that you want to be talking about. Focus less on your product and more on your customer and what they want to achieve, facilitated by your product. Number two, if you haven't already done so, trademark your product or your signature process or your unique delivery mechanism. A lot of people have trademarked their products or their processes or something within their business, but then they keep it hidden in documents, in drawers, or in their company, or in their computers. If you have a trademark or if you have a signature process, this is going to do so much good in differentiating you from all of these competitors that are coming up. The most important thing is that you name it. Name your process. Name your signature advantage. A name gives it a higher perceived value. It makes it look like something that was designed and engineered specifically for a purpose. So if you have a unique process, if you have a trademark, if you have a unique delivery mechanism, make sure you name it and then you use that name to market, to evangelize, to talk to your customers. That is going to set you apart from the competition and from anyone else that is claiming to offer the same thing that you offer, because they cannot claim something that you have trademarked. Another thing you can do is to claim your territory. I have worked with so many clients that will be number one in their region, or number one for certain builders, or number one in a certain method, or in solving a certain problem. And they will say that to me when I ask them, tell me about your business. And they'll say, we are actually the most trusted in solving this problem. We are number one in this region. We got this certification, or we got this award. But then they don't use that in their marketing. They don't claim their position in their marketing. And if you don't claim your territory, someone else is going to. It is not easy to achieve a number one position or a trusted leader in a certain category. That is something that you have earned and you have worked for, and you need to claim that. Anytime you talk to your customers, you need to let them know that when it comes to solving this problem, no one else does it like us. No one else is trusted like us. Here are the case studies. Here is a list of all of the projects that we have been associated with. You need to claim your territory and claim it with confidence, because again, if you don't do it, someone else is going to claim it. Another thing you need to do, and especially if you were the first in the category or if you pioneered a certain method or a certain process, is to tell that story, is to tell the origin story. Do not make the mistake of thinking that this is something that the customers will ask about. When you say, hey, we've been in business for 30 years, and then you expect that the customer will ask you, how did you start? They're not going to ask. They don't care. They're busy comparing other products. You have to take the initiative and the opportunity to tell the customers your origin story. We are the ones that were actually the first to pioneer this process. We are the ones that discovered this product. We're the ones that first did it in this way. If you don't tell that story, it will be stolen from you. Make sure that whenever you are educating your customers about your product, that you're weaving in all of these details that create trust, authority, credibility. If you have case studies, if you have all of these images and data, it is very important that you put those together in such a way that your customer is going to have access to them. Again, these are not things that customers will proactively ask for. Contractors are not going to knock on your door and say, please give me your case studies. You need to be consistently putting those out there in your marketing. You need to have them printed and ready to show whenever a contractor is inquiring about your services, or whenever you're talking to a developer, or even when you go out to trade shows. These are things that you need to be proactive with in evangelizing and making sure that no one else is claiming those things. Another thing you can do is to share the company mission. Again, I have clients that are on a mission to solve a certain problem or to build a certain community, or they are working for the legacy of a certain leader in their community. However, they don't share these stories. They don't tell their customers about this mission. You will be surprised how many customers will purchase, how many contractors will want to do business with you, how many developers will want to be associated with you just because of the mission that you're on. And it doesn't even have to be a big mission. It can be associated with just something that happened in a small community that you grew up with, or it could be associated with your personal faith. It could be associated with your personal story or the story of a relative or the story of a family member. If there is a mission that is close to you that you want to share as part of growing your company, make sure that you're telling that story, especially when you have a personal mission. This is something that cannot be copied by someone else. It's something that cannot be claimed by a competitor, and it offers such a powerful marketing kind of foundation when you start talking about your products. Last but certainly not least, you can use your experience in the market and in the industry to offer upsells that enhance your customers' experience, that enhance the buying journey of your customers. You can offer upsells and add-ons that only you can provide based on your experience in the industry. People will want to work with someone that has solved this problem 100 times more than they will want to work with someone that has only solved the problem twice. People will want deeper experience in someone who has a deeper understanding of the problem that they're trying to solve, and they will even pay to consult with that person, especially when they have a bigger, more complex problem. So you can add these consulting services as add-ons or even as a freebie to contractors, to builders. You can add expert technical support as bundled into your product. You can add installation services. Now, these might require that you reorganize your business. They might even require that you create a whole new offering or a whole new product, but it's something that you want to consider so that you can solidify your position and make sure that you're not going to have other competitors try to copy and paste your marketing strategy. Now, all of these strategies individually are going to add value. They're going to enhance the perception of your product, but the magic is in layering multiple of these strategies so that you create an uncopyable position. If you are the first in the industry to pioneer this product or this process or to solve this problem, and in addition to that, you have a unique mechanism, you have a unique delivery process, you have a special mission that you share with your customers, you have values, you have certain projects that your company is associated with that are valuable projects in the community, or that are high visibility projects that so many people know about, or that associated with big names like NASA or like a stadium or a city project. All of these things bundled together and layered create a position for you that can only be imitated, but it cannot be copied. Positioning and repositioning are what keeps companies in the top spot in their category. You have to continuously watch what is going on in the market and make sure that you still have a position where you can command premium prices, where you always have demand for your product, and where you always have customers coming back because they cannot find what you offer with any other competitor. And when you do this, you don't get to just keep your market share. You don't just get to be number one in your category. You get to shape how the market grows from there. You don't just defend what you built. You get to define what gets built in the future. And you never have to fight for attention again when you have already proven your value in a way that cannot be copied. If you have had to reposition in order to reestablish your position within the category or within the industry, let me know in the comments below or ask any questions that you have about this topic. This is a topic that I enjoy talking about because these are things that you as a business owner can actually choose to do in order to continue growing your company, in order to even introduce new products into your lineup. If you have any comments or questions about that, leave them in the comment section below. And that is all for today. I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.